welcome to my channel. Today we're visiting the Strasburg Train Museum. Let's go in and find out the wonders of the trains!
Yes, sir. Where are you going today? Sir, where are you going now?
We're going to New York.
New York?
Actually, sir, you're in a real treat because in 1916, it'll take 1 day to go from Pennsylvania to New York in a steam train. So you would have to ride in the coach for 1 day and sleep in it. May look like a replica, but it's actually a coach built in 1907. That's why the interior looks so old. In 1916, we used coal instead of electricity to power our heaters. So every now and then on a train, the conductor would have to go in a coach and feed it with coal for the heater so they could warm up the coach. I like to look out the windows and see the beautiful Pennsylvania countryside. Every now and then, you would see a farm around here. They're mostly owned by Amish people. They like to stay away from technology, so we saw a lot of horse carriages around here. Now we reached the end of the line. The train is going to be heading to the back and coupling with the back for the return journey home. We are now heading back to the station. We can see the conductor sitting outside. Maybe he's enjoying the winter landscape of Pennsylvania. John Stevens constructed the first steam locomotive in the United States in 1825 when he was over 75 years old. He operated the train on a circular track on his Hoboken estate. In 1830, he formed the Camadon and Amboy Railroad and Transportation Company, his first successful rail company. Before his death in 1838, Stevens also designed a bridge and underwater tunnel to run from Hoboken to New York City and an elevated railroad system for New York City. This is the Hawaiian plantation locomotive, OLOMANA. The OLOMANA is a 3-foot, 914mm narrow gauge 0-4-2ST locomotive built by Baldwin Locomotive Works in 1883 for the Waimalalo Sugar Company in Hawaii. It is currently in the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania on loan from the Smithsonian Institution. It was the third self-propelled vehicle to operate in Hawaii. Walt Disney called the locomotive the nearest thing to a Mickey Mouse engine. The Pennsylvania Railroad G5s was a class of 4-6-0 steam locomotives built by the POO's Junita shops in the mid-late 1920s. It was designed for passenger trains, particularly on commuter lines, and became a fixture on suburban railroads, notably the Long Island Railroad, until the mid-1950s. The G5s were the largest and most powerful 4-6-0 locomotive, except for a single Southern Pacific 4-6-0 that outweighed by 5,500 pounds. This wheel was from the Johnstown flood of 1889. This is from a train that derailed. This is the same wheel of a train that derailed in the 1889 Johnstown floods that caused 70 million damage, and also killed 2,209 people. That was really catastrophic. The TAHOE was in service on the Virginia and Truckee Railroad (V&T) for 51 years beginning in 1875. The locomotive was used for most types of service on the railroad. Over the course of the years, the TAHOE saw its share of mishaps and accidents. In July 1887, it was hauling ore cars uphill to Virginia City when some of the cars went off the rails near the Eureka Mill siding. While the TAHOE was stopped there, the Dayton, pulling the local passenger train, came around the curve and ran headlong into number 20, causing severe damage. Pennsylvania Railroad number 94 is a Class A5 0-40 switcher built at P.O.'s Junita shops in 1917 for the Pennsylvania Railroad. The A5s were a development of Penny's A-Class, which started in 1885 with the A1 and the A2, formerly Q-Class. It was one of the class used as switchers on the Pennsylvania Railroad. It was retired in 1956, and all the remaining PRO 0-40 switchers retired the following year, and later they were all scrapped. Today, it's on static display at the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania. It is the sole surviving Penn C A5s and was loaned to the museum by Penn Central in 1969 and then finally donated outright in 1979. Pennsylvania Railroad number 7002 is a Class E7's 4-4-2 Atlantic type steam locomotive built for the Pennsylvania Railroad by their own Altona Works in August 1902. Today, it's still on display at the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania. Originally number 8063, the POO renumbered it to number 7002 after the original, claimed to be a land speed record setter, was scrapped. The Pennsylvania Railroad's Class H6, H6A, and H6B steam locomotives were of the 2-8-0 Constellation freight type, the most numerous class on the railroad with 1,707 units and the second most prolific 2-8-0 class in North America. Reading 1251 is a preserved Class B-4A 0-6-0 tank locomotive built by the Reading Company's own locomotive shops in Reading in 1918 and the only tank locomotive to be restored by the Reading after World War I. It served as a shop switcher to pull and push locomotives in and out of the reading shops until it was taken off the readings active list in early 1963. A Climax locomotive is a type of geared steam locomotive in which the two steam cylinders are attached to a transmission located under the center of the boiler. This transmits power to drive shafts running to the front and rear trucks. This is the SHAY Locomotive. The SHAY Locomotive was a widely used North American geared steam locomotive. The locomotives were built to the patents of Ephraim SHAY, who has been credited with the popularization of the concept of a geared steam locomotive. Although the design of Ephraim SHAY early locomotives differed from later ones, there was a clear line of development that joins all SHAYs. SHAY locomotives are especially suited to logging, mining, and industrial operations and could operate successfully on steep or poor quality track. A fireless locomotive is a type of locomotive which uses reciprocating engines powered from a reservoir of compressed air or steam, which is fueled at intervals from an external source. They offer advantages over conventional steam locomotives of lower cost per unit, cleanness, and decreased risk from fire or boiler explosion. This is the E7. The E7 was a 2,000 horsepower A1A-A1A passenger train locomotive built by the General Motors Electromotive Division of LaGrange, Illinois. Each engine drove its own electrical generator to power the two fraction motors on one track. The E7 was the 8th model in a line of passenger diesels of similar design known as EMD E units, and it became the best-selling E model upon its introduction. This is the Pennsylvania Railroad GG1, the most successful electric locomotive ever built. The Pennsylvania Railroad GG1 was a class of streamlined electric locomotives built for the Pennsylvania Railroad, PRR, in the northeastern United States. This is the EMD GP30. The EMD GP30 is a 2,250 horsepower, 4-axle diesel electric locomotive built by General Motors Electromotive Division of LA Garage, Illinois between July 1961 and November 1963. A total of 948 units were built for railroads in the United States and Canada. There are more interesting locomotives on site, but this video is limited, so I cannot cover all. You can visit the museum and find out more about the locomotives and where they came from, though. We are now leaving the Strasburg, Pennsylvania Museum after a long adventure. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and maybe leave a comment down below if you think you want to suggest something. Thank you so much for watching.